Don't fall for the monsters in this maze, but I could love you forever if you'd meet my gaze. Don't fall in love with the man on stage. I'll be on in a minute, I'm just sharpening my blade. Don't fall for his flattering tune. He'll promise you the world until you drink that perfume. It's a highway, highway to the door. And a neon Medusa's got your heart. Sweet canyon lullaby.
I think we got it.
Sweet.
I think we're here. Hey guys, whoever's listening, whoever is here, hi. We got Mac from Kill FM here, and we're gonna do a little talk. Hi, buddy.
How's it going, man?
Oh, like we were talking off for a minute there on the stream. It's going, man. It's busy. It's busy.
Yeah.
What else can I say, right?
Well, that's good. It keeps us going, right?
Yeah. How you holding up?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Like I was saying earlier, been busy. A lot of work going on outside of actual work, and just trying to keep up with the wheel of life that wants to roll me over. And like Indiana Jones, I'm just
pushing it,
just ahead of it.
That's what's up. At least you're staying ahead, man. That's important.
Good legs.
Yeah.
That's what everybody tells me. I got some nice getaway sticks.
Getaway sticks. So I was going to say, those who aren't familiar with you want to give a brief synopsis of who you are and what you do?
I am Mac and Joanne, and I am the radio host of a fake radio station called Kill FM that supports the role-playing community on Twitter. The Friday the 13th, the Halloween verse, Legacy Tales. I'm pretty much doing stuff for anybody who asks me to do anything. So there you go.
And we were talking last time you were on here. You're looking to do voice work, and you know, for anything pretty much, right?
I am. Anything you got. And I work for real cheap too. So, because I just love it. I love doing it, and you know, people seem to enjoy it. So that's a plus.
See, that's something I think you ought to, with you see you have a YouTube too, everybody. He has a YouTube. Check him out.
Kill FM.
I think you should definitely be pushing that a little more too, because there's so many people in this little community, and I say little, but you know how big it is, of role players and just the horror community, the mutant family thing, everyone. Says that you have a golden voice, and I have to agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely marketable, definitely sellable, and if you're not hiring him for your next project, you're an idiot.
Which is odd because growing up, I never really liked my voice.
Okay.
And it was always one of those things that you hear just like everybody else, and it's like, oh my God, I sound like that. Yuck. You know, and over the years of yelling, and I was the front person to a metal band in the early 2000s, and I blew my voice out. And ever since I've done that, that's pretty much what you get. I used to have a way better range than I have now.
I think that comes with getting older too. I mean, just in general,
Thanks for pointing that out. That doesn't hurt at all.
we're all getting older. What? See, and that's just something that people do is like, why are you talking about me like that? Well, I'm not, but you're making that assumption.
It's all right. I enjoy my every year.
Oh,
Cilantro.
yes, cilantro to you too. We got Straight Sith Mail in the chat. What's going on, brother? Hey, thanks for coming. He was here last night with that whole debacle. That was great.
I didn't see the whole thing. So
Oh,
now I'm gonna have to watch it.
you know, I'll tell you, it was very entertaining. And for those not able to make these live shows, usually they're going Saturdays between 9 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern if we're doing them. And I try to make an announcement on a Twitter either day of or a little ahead. You know. Oh yeah, Brett and Herotica are in the chat saying hi.
Hey.
His voice is like angels ringing on your ears,
Very, very dark angels.
like the prophecy.
That's right, like Gabriel.
Gabriel.
I love that movie.
Yeah, you're a fan.
Oh yeah, totally. 1 and 2, 3, 4. It started falling apart, and it just cascaded into obscurity.
Well, I was gonna say, what sells it for you?
So I've always been an amateur theologian.
Okay.
There was a point in my life when I read the Bible, the Torah, the Dhammapada, which is like the Buddhist Bible. It's funny, when I bought that, I came home and my super Irish Catholic grandmother was sitting on the couch, and I come walking in and I got it under my arm. She's like, "What do you have there?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh, it's the Dhammapada, Grandma. It's the Buddhist Bible." "Well, how do you think Jesus would feel about the Devil's Workbook?"
Wow.
Well, God love you, Grandma. So anyway, I read that.
That's
of course,
funny.
the Holy Quran, any kind of Dead Sea Scrolls, any old text, the sagas from the Vikings to get a grasp on their religion. I love the concept of religion and what it's done to humanity and how they can take it in such interesting ways.
No, that's one way to put it.
So anyway, when I watched The Prophecy,
Sure.
and there was a line in it, imagine what it's like to be an angel doing God's bidding all the time, one wing dipped in blood. And I thought, ooh, that's so true. So I went out and bought a book on angels. And yeah, I mean, the movie is dead on balls. There was a legend about Gabriel who stood with Lucifer against God when he made man. Because the legend says, God made man, held him up before all the angels, and then said, "Bow to my finest creation." And Lucifer, this was his pride. So there were several different things that he did that got him thrown out of heaven. The 7 deadly sins. This was one of them. So he said he wouldn't bow to the son of mud. And Gabriel stood on his side with that. So did several other angels who were named in archangels as well. Of course, God didn't look at that too well.
Right.
So he kind of made him do it anyway. And then came the other thing where Lucifer was like, "I don't like this," but maybe Gabriel was like, "No, I'm still kind of down with God on this one." And so that's a series of things that Lucifer had done to throw him out of heaven, which I think is implied in the movie. And what's his name? Who did that? Aragon. Yeah, Lucifer. I can't remember his real name, but he played Aragon. He did a great job. Anyway, that's
Right.
what I loved about it.
Well, I'm just gonna say this for me. It was Christopher Walken always. I mean, first and foremost, before anything.
Yeah.
But that's very deep and a very man. Mac, you're welcome back anytime. I'm loving these answers. First off,
I get in depth.
especially on a Sunday, how appropriate, right?
Absolutely. Church is over. Go
Church-
forth and be cool.
Yeah, there's. I was gonna say that. Now that could lead into an interesting question. Like, do you follow a certain philosophy or religion yourself?
No, I don't. That's a really good question. I'm no more of a Christian than I am a Buddhist, more than I am a Muslim, more than I am any other religion. I love religions and I love cultures, and I think that America should have been more adopting of outside religions, including Wicca. And for the most part, Satanism. I've known a lot of Satanists who are good people, and the stigmata they get is bullshit. You know, because we're always taught to believe that they're these baby killing, you know, demon summoning mad people, and it's not that way at all. You have those people, you know, fanatics that you have in every religion.
Right. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I follow them all, and I'd like to think that the old gods still kind of fester somewhere in the background.
I must say, for me, it was always the Greek gods and mythology that really got me into learning about more about theology and just philosophy in general. You know, it's fascinating. I'll tell you, and this reminds me of a story. When I was younger, I had this place with like 6, 7 roommates down the way. Had like half a house. We were all in our 20s partying and shit, right?
Nice.
These Mormons would come by once in a while, and they caught me outside playing guitar, and we started talking. Then they started to come, you know, every couple of weeks I'd see these guys that come in, talk to me for a while, just hang out and check out, right? And one of them said, look at religion as a glass table that got smashed, and each shard is a separate religion. When separate from each other, they make this much sense, but together as a whole, they make the most sense of all.
That's beautiful.
And I thought that was like one of the most amazing things, which gets me into what you're talking about right now, studying the different theological thoughts of different cultures and et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see that once in a while. And like you said with the stigmatas, that's a very important point. Everyone just sees what they want to see, I feel like. Perception is life, you know?
They do. And I was watching a thing today. It was written testimonies of executioners in like the 1590s from Germany. This one guy did like a bunch of executions, and he talked about them breaking people on the wheel and stuff like that. And I mean, just this is my job, you know, and they did it for God. And that's an interesting thing to me, is how somebody could be so pious into thinking that, you know, they could, that they just have the right to do this to another human being and make something out of what they are. You know, I've never met a witch I didn't love. I'm not even kidding. I mean, there's some of the most beautiful, peaceful people that I wish I could be more like, but there are things about me that don't really jive with what a lot of them think sometimes. Just me as a person. And I think at the end of the day, that's where God or the goddess or the powers or the council, whatever you want to call it, the divines, right? I think that your relationship with them, it, her, he, whatever, is your relationship, and that's up to you to decide. You know, you'll never commune with a greater deity in a building with a bunch of people. It's always by yourself, just you and them.
And I think a lot of people need to hear that too. Welcome to church, guys. Welcome to church. See, anyone in the chat that has questions or wants to comment or anything, just holler at us, and we'll get you some time. Trying to check too many things over here, Mac. I'm doing too many things at once.
Take your time, man. Take your time. This ain't no rush. This boat is slow and easy, baby.
Oh, easy like Sunday morning.
There you go. I recently, after the years of playing music, just learned that song.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't have to. I just did.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that a minute. Let's talk about your musical adventures. Now, what do you play? And I know I want to talk a little bit about your different bands, your touring, and what you've done in the past.
Okay.
So let's start with you play.
I play the drums.
Yeah. How long have you been playing?
I've been playing since 1985.
That's insane. Awesome.
Yeah. So that's when I started playing the drums. I got into like middle school, 6th grade band, and I knew I wanted to play music because I'll start at the beginning, try to sum this up real quick.
Sure. Yeah.
Take your time. 1978, I was 5 years old. I don't think I even broke 5 yet, so I was still 4. And in that summer, my dad took me to a local record store called Karma Records on the east side of Indianapolis. and place is still there today. And he took me in there and he was like, get any album you want. And so I walk in there and Dad's thinking I'm going to be walking out with like Sesame Street or something like that. And I go in there and the place reeks of weed because it's the 70s and it's a record store.
Sounds about right.
I look up and there's this huge tapestry of Kiss Destroyer. And it's they're coming over the hill and they're looking all evil. And I'm like, whoa, it scares me, but intrigues me. I got to find that. And the guy at the counter is like, oh, that's Kiss. And that's the record that came out last year in 77, Destroyer. And I was like, I want that album. And my dad's like, holy shit. So he goes ahead and falls for it, and we go home with that record. And I'll never forget, I was just looking at it on the way, and now it's in color because in the old tapestries it was just black and white. And I'm just sitting there looking at the album, and we get home and I go downstairs to the basement and put this album on this big 70s record player with these big huge earphones, and put those earphones in. And I start the record and you hear this Gene Simmons dialogue, and then it goes into like him walking out to a car, the car revving up, car speeds off. Then you hear Ace Frehley, and then Paul Stanley comes in with the harmony, and Gene Simmons and Peter Criss come in, and as soon as that happened, electricity shot through my entire body, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I just remember getting super emotional over this rock and roll song. And like, people don't do that, but I knew this changed my life. And I love Peter Criss and I love the way he played on the album. So I got into it and started I used to have all the Kiss albums, and kind of sat on it. Always wanted to play drums for years and years and years. In 1985, my opportunity came along to get into the band. And so they put, like the saxophone in my hand. There's like 1,000,000,008 keys on that thing. And you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So they put it aside. They gave me the flute. And in retrospect, wish I would have taken that seriously. But at that time, it was the 80s, chicks played flute, dudes played drums. So they put the sticks in my hand. And when they did, it was like, it felt right. It was like Charlie Chaplin getting his hat and his cane.
I feel that, man.
It was just, this is where I'm supposed to be. So band didn't work out real well. I think I was in for like a semester and got in a fight with every fucking drummer in there because every one of them was a prick and elitist and felt like that if you didn't do this before or you didn't know how to read music, then you weren't part of their little drum club. And I was very opposite of that, so I got in a fight with everybody and wound up walking away. Never had any lessons. My dad in 1987 bought me this little Slingerland drum set that's now worth $300 or $3,000. I sold it for $75.
Damn.
So, he gets me that, and I start playing. It's like 1987, so all you had on the radio was like Poison and War and this going on, that going on. No, I'm not learning this. So I went to the beginning of rock and roll and started learning like Bill Haley and the Comets and a lot of Chuck Berry, a lot of the early predecessors of rock and roll. And that's when I started kind of paying attention to drum beats. So I kind of mustered out on that for years, joined a couple of punk bands in the 80s, which timing isn't important to a young punk band.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up the concept of that. And then in 1994 or 5, and I can't remember, I joined this band. And I go in there and I sit down and I got this big, huge drum set. And they're like, well, here's a practice list. Pick a song off there. And I'm like, oh, I love The Who, so I know Squeezebox. And they're like, okay. So we started out, they're like, go ahead and count us off. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just go nuts like Keith Moon. And the bass player who used to play for Patti LaBelle turns around, and we're not even one bar into the song. And he just turns around, stop. You got to calm down.
Hmm.
You got to slow down. You got to pay attention to the timing and the pocket. And he's saying all this shit. And something about me at that time was like, you better listen because playtime's over. These are real musicians. And if I don't listen, this would be my shot and I'd blow it. And so for the next 4 years, I traveled with this band on the road. And the buffer between me and this guy was my keyboard player, Odie. And he was, Rod would do things to piss me off. And, we'd be up there on stage playing. And if I sped up, he would stick out his thumb and look back at me like that. So I'd see the whole crowd just look at his thumb, look at his face, realize he's looking back at me, and then look at me like, what's going on, And so we'd get off stage and I'm like, fucking Rod, man, you got to quit. And he was like, don't speed up. That was always his answer. It was never, I'm sorry. He was like, don't speed up. So after 4 years of that, I came to the point where I was just locked into time. And if it wasn't for that guy pissing me off and doing that shit, I wouldn't have ever locked in like I did. So Odie, the keyboard player, was kind of like the buffer between me and him. And so he'd piss me off and I'd be storming off stage. We played a pretty big gig at the Indy 500 Carb Day and lots of fucking people there. And we're going off stage and Rob did that. And I'm like, dude, it's to the point. You got to stop or I'm out. He was like, quit speeding up. So I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm fucking done, bro. And I go storming off and Odie's like, come on, man. Come on, calm down, man. We'll go out to the van. We'll feel a little bit better. You'll see that this is just a passing thing. You're going to get there, but he's right. And I'm like, shut the fuck up,
Getting like, I don't want to hear this, but I need to hear this.
Right. It's like an adolescent kid and I'm in my 20s and everything. So I'm locked into that. And the band broke up and then in like 98.
Okay.
So other things came in. We had to fire the keyboard player for musical reasons and business reasons. So that was a big, painful split. And then, I just went on to other bands and did other things.
Yeah. And still doing it to this day, of course.
I am. I'm in a punk band now. I quit playing music for 15 years. Not after that. I was still in music up until and then was a front. I did other drum things. And in 2003, I was in a band and I remember sitting back there playing my drums and I was singing a few of the songs that we had. And I'm up there watching the lead guitar / singer and I'm like, I don't want to watch somebody else do that anymore. Like I could be a more entertaining front man than any of the people I've played with. I don't have the range, I don't have the voice, but I got the charisma and I'm an active person. So me and a buddy of mine went up to Chicago and started this band called Left of Mind, which I featured on my first show. And we went up there, hatched this idea for a band. And he's like, all right, well, it's got to be pumping. It's got to be this. And I wanted to be more like a, easy band that I didn't have to yell my balls off to. But he wasn't having it. He's like, no, you got the metal voice.
Oh, so you got the voice. When you have the voice, you have it.
Yeah. And he wasn't going to hear me singing some heartfelt melody to some chick I lost. He was like, no, it's going to be about fighting and it's going to be about drugs. It's going to be about chicks. It's going to be fun. And it was. We had a great time, developed quite a habit for cocaine in those years. It got pretty sketchy, and to the point where I woke up and like my nose was bleeding during the night and it's just soaked on my pillow and everything. And I woke up and I was like, I'm done. And I never touched it again. And then I blew my voice out and quit doing drums for like 15 years, quit music. I was done altogether. And my wife, she was like, well, we were just talking about this last night. We go into this music store. This is like in 2016, maybe. And we go in there and I'm like, no, this ain't happening. She's like, yeah, you're either picking the drum set or I'm picking the drum set. Either way, we're leaving with one. So I picked one and I took it home, started noodling around on it. And in the years I was off, I fell in love with jazz, like good jazz, man, like Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington. I even love that 20s, Irving Berlin, a lot of those guys, Cole Porter, and really fell in love and very deep into the dynamics of those with syncopated things that they would do off that just easy 1-2 beat, and how polyrhythms work. And I started getting into all this stuff, so I started incorporating it into my drums. Sorry, I'm pointing at them. They're over there.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
And so then this punk band came along and was like, hey, we heard you're pretty good. You're Spider, right? And that's what everybody called me through the 90s.
Spider?
Name that never left. Yeah. So they're like, you're Spider, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, we started this punk band and, we want to see what you got. Because I put some things up on Facebook. And I was like, all right, whatever. So they come over and they're, they start grinding out these songs. And I started doing these like sometimes syncopated, very jazzy background beats. But, once it hits into the time to really hit it, you really hit it and get on that punk beat. So I was able to kind of switch those ideas back and forth.
Okay.
So that's a band I'm in now, but we don't play that type of music because then we had a bass player come in who was super about like Rush. He was big into Fish. He was very educated musically, had college and all this kind of stuff. And he came in and he's like, look, I want to go in with what we got, but move into more of a prog rock and away from jazz. And of course, I'm like, fuck yeah, man, fucking jazz. Awesome. So we did a few songs and he was like, hey, can you do the Bonham beat? And I'm like, well, of course, man. I've been playing since 1985. I could do the fucking Bonham beat. And I sat down and I couldn't do it. And I'm like, well, this is bullshit. So I came home and learned it. Then I put it into a song and now it's in like 4 songs we got. And so that guy had to leave to go take a job somewhere else. And we got this new guy. And he's just like, holy shit, you guys are fucking out there on your own level. And I mean, he loves it. And I couldn't think of a band around here to kind of put us with right now because we're so vastly different from all that. And I know you get that out of a lot of bands, but
sure.
I mean, this to me it really is different. That's why haven't showcased my current band yet on anything, because I want the new sound to be the sound I come out with and not what was recorded back in the poly jazz punk days.
A lot of chat. The chat's starting to break. As soon as you said cocaine, they're
yeah.
fucking cane. Bud says, and Sith Male's saying what? Cocaine was fun until it wasn't. The end.
Absolutely, that is the best description of it.
Give it a shout out Choppa too for stopping in. What's up, Mike? Choppa, Mad Metal Man stopping by. Thanks, brother. Good to see you. Last night, I think he popped on, actually. Metal ended up popping on. It was Bud. Garbage Pail was on.
Nice.
My buddy Tater.
I'm going to pop a beer right here. So
yeah, do it. It's Sunday. I want my guests to feel comfortable. But not.
I used to be a Catholic.
Yeah.
So it's important for me to drink on Sundays.
See?
It's one of the only things I've carried over from the old Catholic days.
The old Catholic days. I bet you made a hell of a Catholic schoolgirl, Mac.
I did, man. I was so sexy. You should have seen talking about my getaway sticks.
Yeah.
That's what I heard when I wore my skirt.
All 3 of them. Hey-o! So, oh, wow. I have a list of things. Let's go over this.
Holy fuck.
I actually made a list for you today. Congratulations.
Right on, man. That shows my importance.
Yeah. I usually try to have at least a couple points to talk on.
Fortunate for you, I'm a talker.
Yeah, you got this, brother. But you're entertaining, you're interesting, and these are fun stories. I'm enjoying this. So you're talking about being on the road for a while. How old were you when you started? And when did you stop? You said. Let's go over that real quick.
I was 23.
23.
Yeah, when I joined this band, I think it was like 22 or 23. I can't really remember.
Oh, do you have any fun stories from the road with audience experiences, anything like that from back in that day?
Man. So back in that day, I feel like I bumped this.
Oh, yeah. Do your thing.
So I remember we were playing one gig, and it was in this very cool bar, and it had like 2 levels to it. It was huge, and for a little northern Indiana town that packed in, and it wasn't Gary, it was the other side of Indiana, but this place would fucking pack in. So we go there on a 3-night stand, I think, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And our agent had us hooked up with hotel, everything we could need. So if you're a musician, you can't get an agent, I highly advise it. They take care of you. They make sure you're taken care of. And then you got the other one, so careful. Anyway, so she set us up in this little hole in the wall town with this amazing bar. And we went in there and played our Thursday night, and we did really well, came back to Indianapolis, did our jobs that day, and came back on Friday. And the place packed in wall to wall, both floors, and you would look up, and it was kind of like the Thunderstruck video where it was just like this wall of fucking people. And I had all these stage lights behind my drums, and that's back when I had hair, so it was super hot. And we get up there and we play, and we just jam it and rock it, man. And it started, I think, at 10 o'clock and went till about 3:30 until we got done, but we only got paid till 2. So we played it an extra hour and a half just for the party itself. So we get done and we go outside, and there's this guy, and he's a volunteer cop, and he's working behind the bar that night because it was his job to be a bartender. And he's like, hey, everybody comes through here has got to do this special name shot. And I'll leave that out because it was his name.
Sure.
So I'm like, well, fucking, I'm Irish. I'm young. I can do this. I was like, hit me, whatever you got. And he was like, well, what do you want? I said, you make the call. And he goes, oh, and turns around and mixes it up. Now, I wasn't aware that there was a drink called the Three Wise Men at the time, which is Johnny Walker, Jim Beam, and Jack Daniels. And this is pretty much the fuck you of drinking. So I hammer it back, and he's like, Jesus Christ, you fucked up. And I'm sitting there listening to him tell a story, and I got my arm on the bar. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there and everything's getting fuzzy, and I'm noticing my head's getting heavier. And that's when it kind of hit me that I, in fact, did fuck up.
Oh, wow.
And I look over at the guy, and he looks at me and he goes, there he goes. And as soon as he does that, my fucking elbow slipped off the bar. My face hits the side, and I go back. And the bouncer grabs me and drags me into the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm puking the whole time. And so he throws me in the fucking stall, throwing up in this fucking bathroom that just got used by all these people that earlier. Yeah. And it looked like it. Right. So that made me throw up even more. And I remember just being in there. And the next thing I remember, I hear the guitar player and the bouncer talking about, you got to get him out of here. You cannot leave this guy in here. So the band comes and gets me, and they all take me out to my car and drag me to the hotel. And I wake up the next morning with a bag underneath my face going into the trash can that's caked, and woke up and cleaned myself up and everything. And I go to the guitar player, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? And they were like, dude, you went off last night, like throwing up all over everything. They said, we were playing cards over there, and we heard a gurgling. You're on your back and just puking in your own mouth. And so we turned you on your side. And this was on a Saturday. We still had to play another gig that night.
Jeez.
So I got alcohol poisoning, and I mean, just the shakes. And we went to go get something to eat to try to help out. And that didn't work, right? So I mean, as soon as you eat it and it hits your stomach, it's like boom,
Gone.
out. So it was rough. So we get to the bar that night and I go shaking in there, and the same guy's behind the bar. He's like, "Hey man, you need something to pick you back up?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So he gives me another shot of my regular stuff and a beer, and he said, "Drink it slow." And I did. And within about an hour, I was back up on stage, and you're just like, oh my God, I think I'm going to die. So everybody knew that happened in the band. The best part was the keyboard player, Odie. He's over there playing keyboards, and he's just got that look on his face. He's having a good time and he's into it. You can just see these shots rolling in.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, Odie, you dumbass. So finally he gets off on the third set and goes out there to the bar, and I hear the guy say, "Hey, you want one of these special shots?" He's like, "Yeah." And we're like, "Odie, no." It was too late. He took that third shot and it hit him at the end of the fourth set. And I mean, as soon as we were like,
Done.
last song, Odie's like, boom.
That's insane. See, I think in my 20s, I could relate to that. I've had a couple experiences. Not on stage, mind you, but definitely like, hey, drink this. What is this? I don't know. Okay.
Right.
And I think that's a lesson learned, right?
I used to be in a band called Crown of Thorns, and they were big into like mushrooms and acid and stuff like that.
Oh, no.
And this is back in the liquid television days of MTV.
Okay.
Early 90s, like early to mid 90s. And oh yeah, me and the bass player, we used to drop a lot and sit there and watch that and talk about religion and philosophy. And this guy was the best. This was the best. But I was like 19 or 20 at the time, so I was more about the party, and I wound up getting kicked out of the band.
Aw.
I'd have kicked me out too, though. So
Well, once again, lessons learned, right?
yep.
So that's actually, you were talking about your current music activities. Any place we can find your guys' stuff?
We do have a YouTube page that you can go ahead and subscribe to. We do have that first generation. I used to call it polypunk because there's polyrhythms in there on top of punk rock, hence the name. But it's Misery Loves Sunday. So just look that up, and we'll be like, there's a brownish like sundae, like a ice cream sundae type of logo-y thing. And yeah, that's where you can find us. And that's the current band I'm in, but that's not our current sound. So that's why. But it's still fun. It's still good music, I think.
You think, right?
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, I may be a little biased. I know the drummer's the best part, but that's just me. I may be a little biased.
Well, I just pimped your channel in the chat there, too. Check them out at that link there. Jack Russell, what's going on, brother? Says, yeah, he was in there howling. He's Crown of Thorns band name sounds like a Christian band. It does.
That's why we dropped it.
Yeah, that would explain that.
It was actually from a song name. Keep in mind, this is the early 90s, so there was a lot of things like that. It came from, damn it, I can't remember the band name. It was one of the Seattle bands, and it's off the single soundtrack. I don't think it's Mother Love Bone. It might be Mother Love Bone. There was a song called Crown of Thorns.
I remember hearing at least that name in the 90s at some point.
Yeah. So that's where Bill picked it out. Ooh, that's where the bass player picked it out from.
It's all right.
There's like 80 billion bills. You ain't going to find him.
You'll never know.
And if you do, tell him to get a hold of me because I'd like to talk to him too.
Yeah, there you go.
He owes me money.
I feel like everyone owes me money.
Right.
Call them all out right now. Bob and George and Steve and...
Oh, Steve, dude, old Stevie fucking Two Fingers. Yeah.
Stevie Two Fingers?
Money. We just sneak a boom. That's why they call him Two Fingers.
I've never heard of that. That's hilarious.
He gets your fucking money, just doink.
I knew Stevie Stinkfinger, but that was different.
Wow.
It's terrible.
I want to know.
That reminded me of a story when I was 5. No.
with Father McGrabby.
Father McGrabby. 2 Snickers and a Pepsi every Sunday, man. That's it. Oh, that's funny. I'm gonna cry now. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Memories.
memories. Jeez. So here's a good question. Like, what are you currently listening to? Like, yeah, currently. Yeah, that's good.
That's a great question, because I recently, within the last 2 weeks, I've kind of reverted from playing every day. And it's just gotten to the point where, okay, I know what I'm doing, but what I'm not doing is going back to the well and paying attention to other drummers, beats, other musical parts, and so I've been kind of going back to the well on Grantley Buffalo, who was a very underrated, unknown band of the 90s. And the guy Grantley Phillips, who was the lead singer slash songwriter, is a brilliant songwriter. But in my opinion, Grantley Buffalo is way better than his solo stuff. Anyway, Concrete Blonde, who has always been a huge thing for me, like Jeanette Napolitano's voice, James Mankey's guitar, and the array of drummers they had. Really was very profound on me. Just her singing ability. She had the control and the range of even the best of them, but unfortunately blew her voice out as well in like 98, coming off the Mexican Moon CD, and it was never the same again. And Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull, huh?
Dude, I love. That's why when I said I should have paid more attention to the flute.
Yeah,
because I loved Jethro Tull. I think I found them in like 87. A buddy of mine's dad gave me the Stormwatch album. It was like, take this home and listen to it, man. And I'm like, okay. So I take it home, get ready,
right.
and put it on. And it was just a wild ride from beginning to end. One of the greatest, in my opinion, albums of Jethro Tull.
You guys hear it here. Go research these guys. Like, have some respect for the old school, as I put it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I had a question regarding that too, and I was like totally lost it because I was trying to catch up on chat. Let me see here. Yeah, if you guys got questions, pop in the chat, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Uncensored. Anything you want to know, I'll tell you. Anything.
Uncensored. That's what I like.
Oh, look, the chat's blowing up.
Oh, look, something about pants. No.
Right.
God, this is insane. So yeah, let's get back on the RP thing a minute. So what drew you into that?
So in March, I found myself sitting around a lot. As you know, I work from a car, so I don't get a whole lot of interaction. And since COVID shut everything down, I work at a business, and I work on the perimeter of this business, and I respond to emergencies. So anyway, I found myself, because nobody was there, there's no emergencies to respond to. All my Vics are at home having heart attacks, not at work where I do it, So I'm not getting any of those situations anymore. And so I sat around for months and months and months until last March, when I was like, fuck it. I got to do something that keeps my mind occupied, because sitting here just staring at things and then driving over and staring at other things and walking through places, there's nothing going on here. It just got redundant. And I'm high enough on the ladder right now that nobody can really mess with me other than the very top guy. And not even my boss, who's directly ahead of me, can really mess with me. So that's a good comfort.
I was gonna say that's a plus, and I let you get away with some things, right?
I mean, I could just walk in there with my coffee and be like, "Good morning, fuckers. I'm gonna go hang out and sleep." They're gonna be like, "I'll let you know when we need you," But I wouldn't do that, because the integrity of who I am. I'm one of those old school. Got to be awake. Got to be on par. Got to get ready to be ready for whatever, whenever.
We call it professional, right?
Right. So it's a far cry from back in the 90s. That dude who was doing blow and dropping acid and playing Dungeons and Dragons on the road, and now I'm this guy So anyway, in March, I decided I can't do it anymore. So I'm looking through Twitter and I come across this role-playing account called Crazy Ralph. And I'm like, I fucking love Friday the 13th. And I click on it. And this world opened up to me. It just like, and I'm like, wow, there's all this cool stuff going on. So I followed all the Friday the 13th accounts I could. And there were very few of them at that time chatting because of a thing that happened before I got there.
Right. No, some of us know about that.
Yeah, I know about it too. If you ever join the RP community, you'll hear tales. We should draw it up like that. Somebody should write that story, like the tales of, and then like paint those people up as like the evil force or the dragons, while the good people are like over there. That'd be good euphemism. Anyway, tracking off my own thoughts.
I'm thinking like that would be a good album cover, right?
It would be an album cover, like for Yes or something.
Yeah. Fucking Rush.
Exactly. So anyway, in March, I found Crazy Ralph and Friday the 13th, and then I found Halloween verse, got into all that. And then I just started following all these random accounts that were later going to be very influential people on me, from Ashy to Carrie, everybody, and and then kind of the more you get in with them, you're like, and I don't really talk to them a whole lot. Now, I've been having personal things going on, so I apologize for not being there for everybody and kind of distant, but I have been lately. So I found those guys, and I would hit on and off with these random accounts. And I had this other account that I used to play, Elias Voorhees from Friday the 13th. And because of the falling out or the situation that happened before I got there was a lot of speculation on who new accounts were that were popping up.
Right.
Because people are known to start shit, drop that account, pop in with another one, start shit, drop out, and they're like fucking whack-a-mole. Just like popping in and out and starting shit and then going away. And you're like, fuck, where are they going to turn up next? So I can understand that now, but I was kind of a little irritated at the time because it's something I really felt like I wanted to do. And so I shut down the Elias Voorhees count and then started, I think, Winslow on Friday the 13th and played him from March of last year until I got the Kill FM thing going in, I think, April or May, and was like, well, this is going to be a thing I'm going to do on my own. I don't need to be in a universe. I could connect to all the universes this way, get to do music that I love. Everybody tells me I got the radio voice. I could showcase that off. And instead of talking like a person, I could be like, good morning, Halloweeners, campers, and Elm Street nappers. So
the greatest tagline ever, by the way.
Thanks, man. I came up with it right there on that first day. I was sitting there, and just as soon as I hit record and held my phone out in front of me, that just rolled out. And I was like, wow, that was pretty fun.
I think that defines Kill FM right there.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. And I like I said, I love doing it.
It's fun. And sometimes so obviously you mentioned the Dungeons and Dragons, and nice shirt, by the way. I'm digging that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely that kind of role play, but this is like people running these accounts that they're writing stories, they're doing interactions, they're just having fun with the community. I feel like, and I don't know how you feel, but not only is that good from a creative aspect, but it's good for rehashing memories of old movies, of old times and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And to characters you wouldn't expect that were such a big part of it. Everybody knows I play Robert Mundy. I love doing that. And it's when they first tossed it, I thought, well, this is going to be a great character, because I love characters nobody really knows that much about. That way you can make your own character. You're not tied to a certain thing. And Mundy only has 2 lines in the movie. I'm like, hell yeah, I could do anything. So he got a divorce once, then he went on a drinking bench, and then me and you and Ross went on vacation.
Yeah. I'll say I'm part of the Halloween verse. That's as far as I'll tell everybody. Most people know.
I thought everybody knew everything now. Sorry, man.
No, I don't care. I like to surprise people. But no, that was a great time. That was just goofing around because
Right.
we're sitting there thinking, okay, how many old references can we make and keep it like somewhat fun but legit and like hangovers, and Monday ended up being having allergies to everything. Like,
Dude, I altered this picture to make it look like he had blotches all over. It was the peanut allergy.
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's allergic to
So,
peanuts now.
yep. He was going to go into anaphylactic shock if we didn't get him to the hospital in time. So that's, yeah, it was fun. And it's just stuff like that. And these are characters, even in the Halloween or in Friday the 13th, they've got Crazy Ralph, who's one of the biggest accounts. Like, who would have thought of Crazy Ralph?
And he plays it incredibly well.
Oh, dude, he rocks it. He rocks it. And he's one of those characters who could reach out and communicate with other universes because he's Crazy Ralph. You know, he could do
It
these
suits.
things because he's not grounded in the same reality everybody else is.
But it's definitely a lot of people that know these movies, and like Ralph, like you said, he goes beyond just you're doomed, you know. But everything's doomed. He works at Walmart. He does DoorDash. Like it's like shits his pants, he pisses in the lake. Apparently, like it's like if Ralph was a real person and had a Twitter, this would be it. And that I find that's what I love about this stuff. Like those kind of accounts, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Creative and
it's any of those characters you don't expect. And that's some of the John Strode. Like, come on.
Really, John Strode?
And he does it the best that anybody could ever sell the character.
Well, it's Juan Strobe now, isn't it?
And Juan Strobe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
Like, oh yeah, God. I've had some great times with these guys too, and I feel like, I don't know about you, but I do some writing here and there, and like these like I was doing stories with the Doc West profile for the longest time, and we were trying to make like legit little, you know, like comic books or whatever is what I think, you know. I feel like that this helps me in other creative endeavors in life. Does it inspire you in any way whatsoever?
Absolutely.
Regarding even music or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, any creative thing that you put into yourself is feeding other creativities within yourself. So the fact that I'm able to kind of step away, which is a big thing that happened to me when I found the role-playing community. So let me kind of draw back to that, which will explain the answer. I was a very nerved up person in March. I was looking at getting a divorce. I was drinking way too much. I was just not taking care of myself. I was bored. You know, I'm hitting that part in life when you're just like, what the hell am I doing day after day? You know, and not to say, well, it's exactly what it is. My friends here, all of you out there, I mean, you reached out and really kind of saved me. And because it was just the same old humdrum, and even beating on the drums, which I love doing, was starting to become just kind of, there was no heart in it. And so once I got into this, it was like a thriving community where there wasn't a COVID battle, and there wasn't political upheaval, and there wasn't so much hate, although there was a lot of arguing. And every once in a while, somebody will come in with their political or personal views. I keep mine out of it altogether.
Sure.
Because this is where I go, I got to live in that world. We all have to live in that world where there's the COVID battle, where there's the Republicans versus the Democrats, where there's, you know, the struggle with people who should have had rights the entire time, but for some reason just now starting to get under the microscope and say, hey, wait a minute, maybe we kind of dropped the ball on this thing. And the struggle to come up and get the recognition as human beings from other people. And it's just amazing to me that it's taken this long. Anyway, here's a world where that all-inclusivity, we'll go with that.
Yeah, that's the word.
Has been a thing, and always has been a thing. There isn't any of these problems, and it's a world you could retreat to kind of laugh at some of the things, and a lot of the stuff we post reflects common stuff, but it's in a funny way. It's its own entertainment art form.
Yeah,
uh,
that's
that I
it.
don't think is really looked at all, and I love that.
Like you were saying, there are people that add the real world into this universe, and it's all parody. Everything's parody. Plus,
Yeah.
it's tribute to the old school characters, like I said, and these movies that we all like hold close to our hearts. You know.
Yeah, and I didn't really know that much about the Halloween universe. I was always a Friday the 13th guy. And so Halloween was just kind of like yeah, I know it happened, but which timeline do you want to watch? You know?
Yeah, it got frustrating for a while.
And then just a rash of bad movies in there.
You know, I got to say, honestly, I saw some of those in the theater, and when I was younger, I thought they were great.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
I just went and saw Kills with my mom yesterday.
Nice.
And we saw Halloween in 1978. She took me to that movie because I was 5, because my parents rock.
Nice.
So she took me to see that in 78. So it's been a thing, 78, 2018, and Kills. We went and saw Kills yesterday. She did not like it.
Oh, how did you feel about it?
I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I wanted to. I went in there with higher expectations than it delivered, but that's the viewer's fault, right?
I was going to say, if we go in with no expectations, that would probably be the best way to look at it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely, I wouldn't say, I expected it to break my top 3, but it only broke my top 5. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Definitely, I'll say it's Halloween Kills.
Mm-hmm.
We'll leave. That's where I'm leaving it. We talked a bit about it last night. They dropped some spoilers. If anyone cares to listen to that, it's on last night's stream. I don't want to get into all that now.
Yeah.
Question from the chat, though, Straight Sith Mail. Can you play double bass drum kit?
I cannot, which is funny because when I started out in 1987, when I got my kit, it was just a 4-piece jazz kit. And all my friends played like the big double bass, Black Pearl, Tama, and I had this little Slingerland. And so I never really learned to do it, but I did know that a double bass wasn't going to be my thing. I wanted to do more rudiments on the hi-hats, which you can still do as long as you're coordinated enough to move your feet left and right and do all that. But I have learned a double bass beat on a single bass kit, which seems to freak everybody out, but I can do it.
That's actually kind of talented. I mean, gosh, you got some talent there, Mac. What can I say?
Dude, but the thing is, if I can do it, anybody else could do it. Like, I'm not fucking Superman. So it's hard for me to kind of, I don't know. I'm only a person. If I can do it, you can do it. It's the bars of the mind that cage you.
I think that's anything in life. If you keep at it and keep trying and work at it, that's what it takes. It's work and dedication.
Yeah.
And that's anything in life.
And when it comes down to something like music, man, it is literally blood, sweat, and tears. You're going to lose love. You're going to lose family. You're going to lose friends. And people aren't going to talk to you anymore because they don't think you're paying enough attention, but you're paying attention to your music, and it's the biggest part of you. As long as you're young enough, if you decide to pick this up at like 40 years old and you got 3 kids and all of a sudden you're reverting every day to your broom out of nowhere, it's clear you're running away from them. But if you've been doing this from day one, you're just doing what you do,
It's part of life, man.
Yeah.
At that point,
you make time for everybody else along the way because you're good enough to where you don't have to be in there locked in there for 7 hours a night.
true story. Shout out to Gaming and Yelling. What's up, brother? Thanks for coming by. Jack. Straight. Sith is there. He's in there, yeah. I was gonna say, do you? That's a good point though. Balancing your personal life and your music. Do you still struggle with that to this day, or?
No, because I really only do music. I don't want to say like once a week.
Okay, yeah.
We practice once a week, and then if we got a gig, we do that, and then we'll call off practice that week. So it's pretty much just a once a week thing. But I mean, we've all been playing for a really long time. We'll lay down some tracks in practice and email them to everybody and be like, okay, this is a song and you will hear where we fucked up. So don't fuck up there again.
Right.
And then by the time but the problem is right now we've turned into this songwriting machine. That's where I was meant to answer your question. The creativity that's happened since I've gotten into role play is it sounds dirty, but I'm liking it.
But hey, whatever.
So once I got into all that, I have noticed I'm much more into my music and what I'm doing, and like I said, one creativity spurs another one. So since I've got this down and having such a good time doing it, I'm much more relaxed into playing drums. I'm not so pressured to do things.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm much more relaxed of a person. And that comes with a good duality of fantasy and reality in your life, and we all need that. And that's unfortunately what people of my age who are starting to hit that midway point, their work and mom and dad, and it's every day work, mom, dad, you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you take care of the kids, they go to sleep, you go to sleep, you get up, you go to work, you come home, you take care of the kids. It's just day in and day out, and you lose your identity in there. And yeah, I think it's important that we all kind of have that little fantasy realm that we step out into and kind of learn a little bit about ourselves along the way. Because if you lose you're pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah, it's just a shell of a person, right?
Exactly.
Shout out to Evil Dead Ed. What's going on, brother? Thanks for stopping in. What's up, Yoda? Thanks for stopping in. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. If you got questions for the chat, or not yet, questions from the chat, hit me up. Let me know. Me and Mac are kicking it here on this lovely Sunday.
Kicking it live.
Yeah. And once again, shout out to Kill FM. If you're just coming in, go check them out. YouTube, Twitter. There's links all over the place.
Thanks for the turn on to Lyrazone, man.
Oh, dude.
I said thanks enough for that, but man, they're fucking rock.
He's a good dude. Lyrazone is a hell of a guy. Yeah, as far as I know. He well, I know he works with other people, but Lyrazone is one dude.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that.
Nacho, what's going on, brother? Yeah, Lyrazone, actually, like I said, I met him when I was doing my old radio show. He was part of this, I did a lot of underground rap, and he was part of this underground rap group. They were doing something, Project Leviathan, was their name, I believe. But they had a song called, I think it was Murderous Intentions or something, and it was like, the whole song was like this 5 different serial killers telling a story, pretty much. But it was based on like Jack the Ripper, based on
cool.
Ed Gein, stuff like that, yada yada.
Nice.
I think you can still find the song "Murderous Habits." Yeah, "Murderous Habits." Project.
They're going to be featured next month, the first Monday on the Mac on a Monday.
Hell yeah! Well, Lyrazone was talking to me the other day. I hit him up, trying to get him on one of these things again. But he's talented. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's great.
I think we're aiming for Halloween. We might have him hanging out again.
Nice.
And that, I don't know if you caught that last night, but I was ranting and raving about the Halloween show I'm trying to plan. So, I was going to do a game show, right? We were talking about that Hollywood Square thing.
I love that, yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to get everything done in time for that, so I think I'm doing a trivia thing. And I might do something for like half the day, okay? And I'm thinking like this hour we do a movie watch along, then we might switch to like a costume contest thing, have a little game show. It might just be a couple separate streams. I don't know yet. Still working that out, but
Nice.
For everyone listening, everyone's invited. It's a free for all. Everybody can come on, hit me up if you want to get on that Sunday, and we'll work something out.
Pantsless Halloween party.
Yeah, man. I know I got some things to do with that day, but people were like, do it all day, do it all day. I'm like, you know how hard that is?
No shit.
Like, I'm already working like 40 plus hours a week at a job, plus all the work I do for myself and all the other shit I do. Like, but
Yeah. I don't think I could do an all day thing.
it'd be tough. You really you have to get up and you got to be like, okay, I got to time intermissions at least. We all need to get up and do things for a couple minutes. But yeah, bottom line though, if you're free anytime on Halloween, hit me up and we'll plan
Well,
something out on that.
so you're gonna run a marathon like Jerry Lewis used to do?
Yeah, I'm collecting pants.
Oh,
Well,
that's brilliant.
no, I thought about that. I'm like, what if I did like some kind of like live stream donation thing for some kind of charitable organization or something? That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
But
That would be
even
and be really cool.
I was thinking about doing Halloween and Christmas, like Halloween in December. You know what I mean?
Nice.
That was another idea. The problem is trying to time everything out, and I know we were talking off air. It's hard to schedule people sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm there's a lot of times I'm glad I just do my little 20-minute half-hour radio skit, because I don't have to worry about what somebody's going to spit out,
Right.
or what are they backing out or any of those problems.
Well, let's get on that a minute. As a newly founded content creator, what struggles have you been facing lately?
Holy crap, man. The biggest one for me, that would be musical rights.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, with that, I need a spiel that to be telling you guys I need music, like all the music ever, because I've got anything I've done. Lyrazone is the next Monday of next month. Alternate Ending, who's a great band, it was last month's show. And after that, I've got nothing, and I kind of stress about that because I don't want to. I could do a show where I throw them all together, which I'll do in a pinch,
Sure.
and just kind of play a few songs from them, a few songs from them, and a few songs of mine, and kind of make a show out of it. But I would rather have a show to where I had featured unsigned amateur bands that are struggling to get their shit out there and heard. And I know it's not a huge audience that I hit. I think it is. We're a lot bigger than we like to think here.
It's true.
And I think that's a stigmata we put on ourselves. We're like, we're a role-playing community. We're like D&D club, There's only a few of us, but I mean, we're all over the world, and I think that's cool. So if you have a band or you are an artist of any kind, get a hold of me, Kill FM, on Twitter or on YouTube. Get a hold of me there. Ship me your stuff. The only thing I ask is that it is a professional recording. Don't send me no stuff out of your garage because it's going to sound all tinny and muddy, and you don't want to do that to yourself.
Clean up your audio, guys.
Yeah, right. Give me a good product I can sell, and I will push the living shit out of it because, I mean, number one, I love music. And I love hearing music I haven't heard before. And if you've seen my shows, you'll see me like, getting all into it. And I act like a fool.
We're having fun. We're entertaining and we're passing on knowledge. What else do you want, right?
Right.
So yeah, getting to music's a big struggle. Now here's something from being from an era where you got the mixtapes at the back of somebody's car to streaming at a push of a button. Where do you think we're heading next?
Ooh. So I don't know. So think of me like this. Okay. Picture a cowboy.
Yep.
In the cowboy times, he's young, he's youthful, he's rugged, he's strong, and he's a cowboy, and he's in cowboy times. But now he looks around himself and he realizes it's 1920 and everything has changed, and the cowboy way of life is starting to move to a more gangster, crime-oriented way of life, with the unification, and the weapons have changed, and the technology's changed, and the world's changed. But you just stepped off the range 20 minutes ago, and you were a cowboy, and now you're just an old man.
I see it.
So I don't know where music's going.
Oh,
I have no idea what's coming next, but I can tell you what, I'm going to absolutely enjoy the shit out of it, because when I first went in the studio, we recorded on ADAT. Yeah, man, in like 96.
Damn.
And we went in there and we started recording, and they said, "Hey, do you want to go digital?" And we were like, "Digital? Pff, no, we want to do it the good old way like everybody else does." And it was in 96. So like in a couple of years, everything changed. So we went through that whole recording process and had an album that we almost had put together before everything fell apart. And anybody who's in a band out there will tell you they always fall apart right before you go into the studio or right before you get out.
Right.
If you got a band and it falls apart, those are the two times that band is going to fall apart. So the next time I'd go into the studios and things were different. While I was out of the studios for a while and we recorded in a buddy of mine's house. The next time I went into the studio was in 2007 with Left of Mind, and the spot where that big board was that had all those knobs and all this shit.
Yeah.
It was a laptop computer. And everything, that big desk was still there, but it held, like our roaches.
Right.
And
Right.
coffee and all this kind of stuff. But it no longer had all that. And you're like, wow. And this guy's just bringing stuff up and putting it down on the board. And you're like, wow, those days are over.
It's amazing where it went,
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I couldn't imagine. Those were my cowboy days. And it's not that I'm ashamed or hurt of getting older. It's that I have no idea where the technology is going to go from here, because in that short span of time, it took such a great bound that I was just amazed. It was like I blinked my eyes and everything's different.
Real quick, shout out to Sir Adamantine. What's up, Addy? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming in. I'm wondering if we reached a peak on how, regarding promotions and where we're at, digitally with music and such. If it's going to revert back to, for instance, okay, there's a lot of smaller bands that I listen to, independent music style, right? Mm-hmm. Vinyls are making a big comeback.
You know how expensive that is?
Well, I'm telling you, it's a niche collector's items almost, right? I feel like, yeah. I would
love to have my album on the wall.
But it's just funny to see, and then people are reverting back to cassette tapes even. I'm like, really? Wouldn't you go to a CD at least? But
I could see going with a vinyl because of when you put the needle on the vinyl. And in a lot of bands like, Alice Cooper and there's Jimi Hendrix. I got an original Jimi Hendrix Are You Experience from 1967 hanging on the wall right down there.
Damn.
And I dropped acid to that, which is in itself its own story.
Okay.
So, and when you put the needle on the vinyl, you get that, and that brings in the music, and that little swoosh is very unique. And I've heard people try to replicate it on digital, on CD. And they just can't. It's like a shotgun cocking.
Right.
You can never get that sound quite right. But if you hear it happen in real life, it's an unmistakable sound. And you're like, oh, that's a 12 gauge. I'm going to leave.
I'm heading out now. Thanks.
Right. Somebody broke a gun out. Good.
It's nice to see all these people in chat. I haven't seen some of these guys in a while. And thanks for coming in. For those just joining us, Kill FM, Mac is in here, chatting, jibber jabbing.
Laying down my life.
Yeah, happy Sunday, guys. So, still taking a few questions. I reckon we'll go for a little bit longer yet if you're cool. I know you got stuff to do later.
No, I'm still good, man. It's I don't have band practice till 7. I sound like I'm like 9. My band's coming over at 6.
Yeah. Well, it's all good. I usually schedule at least an hour and a half or so for this, so we'll see what happens.
It's Sunday, man. It's chill.
Yeah, it's always chill. Man, geez, yeah, everyone's saying hi to each other in the chat. It's such a love fest in there right now.
Nice. Take it off.
So it's I'm deleting the questions too. I gotta look through this. So there's something. Yeah. So you were talking about having cool parents. What kind of parent are you with your kids?
Who asked that?
That's me.
Oh, okay. Figured that was going to be from one of the guys from Halloween verse.
Well, I was looking. That's a good point, though. Like I was going to mention censorship in music and movies.
So I'm a very cool parent,
Yeah.
and yeah, my son is quite aware of who Jason Voorhees is. He loves Jason Voorhees. He knows the entire mythology probably better than most people around do, and he knows who Michael Myers is. He watched 2 with me during the watch party we had, and on Tuesday nights, sometimes in the Halloween verse, he'll guest star as Jason Voorhees, and you could hear the guys lose their shit when they find out that he's playing, because he is. I mean, outside of one guy in our group, Ronan is probably. Oops, that's my son. Whatever. He's probably the most brutal and efficient killer in the group, but he loves doing it. He's a real sweet kid in real life, and he'll talk smack. He knows how to do that too.
Smack talking, but backs it up.
Yeah, he does. He walks the walk, he talks the talk. And but he's a real sweet kid. He's a very helpful kid. I've always been under the assumption and that exposing kids to music and art forms and horror movies, I don't think that does the damage that they really thought it does. It exposes them to violence, sure, but why would you be fine with your, you look watch a war movie, but they can't.
I mean,
but for some reason, this outrageous world that you can just as easily. When I introduced my son to horror movies, the first thing I did was say, "Oh, this is Jason Voorhees, and he was a big thing for me when I was about your age." And then this is Kane Hodder. This is who played him. This is C.J. Graham. He played Jason Voorhees. So they're not the same person. Here's some behind the scenes footage. So he knows it's not real.
right.
And I think kids who get into horror are probably better grounded than kids who live a very sheltered life. Like I said, that's my opinion.
Sure, right.
And I'm not going to argue with anybody who's like, it exposes them to violence. Well, of course it does. A fucking horror movie.
Well, that's you can find violence anywhere you look.
Oh, absolutely. And then you're fine with locking your kids in with GTA. All right.
Yeah. I feel like society has really let loose on some of those, like this is too graphic type stuff, because you can just find it everywhere. Compared to like when I was a kid back in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? You had all the no drug ads, no this ad, yada yada.
Until D. Schneider showed up.
I was gonna get to that point. D. Snyder and that was at a congressional hearing, right?
It was against Tipper Gore and the fucking shut the fuck up commission or what the fuck ever.
Yeah. They were trying
Brady
to.
Bears in, so I'm starting to get loose now.
Oh, you're good. Yoda says something about, is he an active officer? Are you asking about Mac or something else? Is he still an active officer? I'm not sure who they're talking about.
So if you are asking about me, no, I'm not a cop.
Yeah. There you go.
I work very closely with them. My role in response has changed since the beginning of COVID. It's been a lot of changes. When I first got into this, I was a security guard, just your basic walking around a building guy at 3:00 in the morning, which was awesome because I love scary movies. And if you want to get your imagination going, walk around a building at night in a place where you're like with a flashlight and all the lights are dark, your mind will get going. Anyway,
yeah, it'll get you going for sure.
At the time I got involved in this, they had a bunch of special deputies doing the job. And they were like, we want to move away from copy cops and start to get with somebody who has a good sense of community, is a real person and not a cop. But we want them to have all the training of a cop and somebody who's going to be able to respect the weapon, the job, the uniform, blah, blah, blah. So they kind of came to me one day and I'm working in dispatch, doing my thing. And the guy walks in, he's like, look, we got an opportunity for you. Some of the deputies are leaving. We want you to just step into one of their places. And I'm like, I used to have a coke problem and was in a rock band, right? And they were like, yeah. That's what makes you human. You ain't doing that anymore. And I'm like, no, I ain't doing it anymore. They're like, all right. So they fitted me with the brown sheriff's uniform, and they sent me to training for active shooter response, building searches, bomb searches, all this kind of stuff, which I had to go through annually. But my other training on at other times was more emergency response, as far as AD, chest compressions, administering Narcan, communicating with the cops, communicating with fire department EMTs. I've had to deal with doing CPR in the field and losing victims, and you'll always have those ghosts following you around, but you always feel like you did the best you could, so you got to find a peace in it. So there's that. I have dealt with buildings burning down, which, yes, it's as cool as it looks. But you need to make sure that it's safe and everybody's kind of back, and that's where my role came in, is to kind of push the crowd back. So yeah, I mean, it's been a hell of a ride. I do love my job. It comes with its pain, like every other job does, but you got to be ready to step up and into that spot, and I'm very, very happy to have the opportunity to do that. That being said, since COVID, things have shut down quite a bit. Since the riots started happening, we've disarmed because we don't want to go. Number one, I don't want to look like a cop right now. And I don't really want to be affiliated with some of them, to be honest with you. I mean, I've seen some of the actions. You could take all the stands you want to, but not everything I've seen is on par.
True.
It's just not, there's a lot of abuse of power, which is going to happen in humanity. I'm also a big historian, so it's not like it's the first time this shit's been going on.
Yeah, no lie there.
So, but it doesn't make it right. The people who are rising up saying, hey, we never had the rights, they were right. They never did. And they damn well deserve it. And that goes with any minority, whether of color or of sexual orientation or of gender identity.
Lifestyle in general.
Yeah, you have the right to be a fucking person no matter where you are. And I live in Indiana. So a lot of people don't agree with that. They're very other side. They don't want that kind of thing around. But these are my friends, so I don't want to be a part of that world anymore if that's how some of them are going to be. Now, that being said, there are good ones as well, and there are good people in there, and I've known some good officers to go down really quick, and because they'll call somebody out and then all sights are on them and they're out of a job, and I've known some good officers. Yeah, that's all you can say.
That's all you can really say. Not to get
But
too.
I love my job.
Yeah. Well, that's a plus too, because I know a lot of us are just doing the 9 to 5 just for the paper. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, believe me, it's not for the pay. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't get paid enough to do this shit, but I love doing it. I love walking into an emergency of whatever it is, and people. I drive around like doing metal horns at everybody all day, and somebody came back to work recently, and they were one of the higher ups, one of the big directors, and they go up to my boss, and they're like, "Hey, is that guy still around?" And they're like, "Yeah, they were, he's out there rolling around somewhere." And they're like, "The guy's the greatest," because I'll show up to an emergency. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" The fire department shows up. You're like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah. Being real with it, I think the best part of anything in life. You know what I mean? Any job you take, be real.
And I think that kind of changed minds as far as how people perceive me, because it used to be that cop, sitting out there with the glasses on like Cartman, just waiting to bust somebody, and now you got that guy, he's jamming out to some Slayer, and he rolls by and he does that. You're more apt to talk to that person, communicate with that person as a result of this. I've noticed that I've got more information than even a lot of my bosses. I
Sure.
have more of a finger on my pulse of the community of which I work for than most people who are above me, because I talk to the people. I'm real with the people. I'm one of the people. I'm not above them. I'm not below them. And they know I'm not going to go in there and start blowing them shit because I got a big gold star.
I want a gold star.
I mean, it'd be nice.
That's what I've been doing this chef thing for too long, man. That's a whole different ball game.
And here I burn a bowl of beefaroni.
I can teach you the way. Oh, let me get rid of we're
You
getting
gotta make a good salmon.
yeah. Follow Gordon Ramsay has a good one, but like you only want to flip it once if you're pan-searing it. Just remember that.
Okay, that's kind of important.
Yeah, I don't know. I have so many recipes for so many things. Salmon. How about a nice teriyaki glaze with a side of like a little edamame, fresh carrot, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds good, right?
totally.
Let's see. Oh, we're getting down to the end of the list here, Mac.
Uh-oh.
Oh man,
Where the sidewalk ends.
we're almost there. So obviously we talked about horror being a big thing for you.
Yep.
What else would you say you're into with movies regarding genres? Do you have some favorites you want to spit out? Yeah. What?
Really?
Really?
Okay.
Out of the horror scene now. We're moving on past.
Oh, okay. Just out of horror.
Yeah.
We're not going into like other
No, I'm saying no horror. Go to the other ones. What else
Oh.
you into?
American classics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Somebody's gonna disagree. Everybody's gonna disagree.
That's all right. You're allowed to have an opinion.
It's not horror, in my opinion. It's a theological thriller. And yes, it sounds like I should throw my scarf over my neck and bite into some pretentious ass fruit like a pear while I say this. Yes,
Sure.
it's a theological thriller. The Exorcist.
Ah.
It is not a horror movie. It's scary, but it's more about theology with Pazuzu, Legion, everything. And those are all in actual theology. So, I mean, the Legion thing came from when Christ saw the possessed man. I can't remember where it comes from. But then he cast the several different souls into the swine and they ran into the lake and drowned themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pazuzu was a god. I can't remember from what religion right now. But Pazuzu was a god, sometimes a demon. So it was one of those gods that can go either way.
Hey.
Perfect for Pazuzu because he had a snake for a penis.
There you go.
Yeah.
How many of you guys can say that?
Me.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, chat.
Although apparently there is poison. I got 2 kids.
Ah.
They're both just little vampires.
But it sounds like it's a lot of fun. So the Exorcist being more theological, I can get that. I can see that.
And then when it comes down to comedy, man, I love the 80s romp movies. American Virgin, Porky's.
Jeez.
The
non-PC, right?
Oh, yeah. Because that was, and then my mom was more horror. So she took me, I think the first one she took me to was Dawn of the Dead in 78. And then I saw 2 kids as zombies and I'm like, holy fuck, this is a real deal. This can happen to anybody. But my dad was more sci-fi. So he took me to Star Wars, and that was the very first movie I ever went to. So Star Wars has always been a huge thing in my life, so much so I don't have any memorabilia or anything like that. But my dad in 77 went and saw it and was like, oh my God, I got to take my son to go see it. So he takes me to go see it. We sit down there and, the lights go out and then you see the 20th Century Fox thing show up and dun, 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 and then it goes down and then you see a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the blue letters, and then and then the score starts. And I just remember being like, holy crap, this is badass. And then the ship goes flying over. And I'm just locked into the movie the entire time. And this was my introduction to theater at all. And I'm just blown away. So years later, I have a daughter, and it's like 2003. And was it Revenge of the Sith? The last one of the prequel trilogy?
I'm trying to think here. Yeah, it was.
They drove me nuts.
I was after
Yeah, because Attack of the Clones was the second.
Right.
Okay, so it was Revenge of the Sith. So Revenge of the Sith came out, and I wouldn't let anybody take my daughter to a movie until Revenge of the Sith came out, because she was going to be 4 years old, like I was 4 years old, and the last Star Wars movie as opposed to my first. So the time comes around, I take her to see Revenge of the Sith. Now, unaware that it was going to be the darkest of the dark of Star Wars. So like heads getting chopped off, Dooku gets his head chopped off, and all this fucking shit's happening, and kids are getting killed, and I'm like, oh shit. So she loved it. And then when my son was like maybe 3.5, we took him to see The Force Awakens.
Nice.
So me, my kids, both of them, Star Wars was our first film. I wouldn't let anybody break that cycle. It's a very important thing.
Well, let's hope if the franchise keeps rolling, your kids, their kids, etc., man.
Yeah, let's hope so, because there's been some bad decisions, man.
No, but that's part of being human, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can dig that. And you got to be thinking of those romp comedies. Meatballs, that was a big one too.
I loved Meatballs. Dude, that's one of Bill Murray's best roles ever.
I agree 120%, man.
Yeah.
Bill Murray is a legend.
Bill Murray's the greatest. And he'll pop up at the damnedest places. I don't know if you've heard the legends.
I've heard some stories, but
like you go into a bar and he's serving drinks. And you're like, what alternative universe did I fall into?
He just does what he wants, really.
Yeah, he always has.
There was oh, go ahead, brother.
Did you ever see any of the behind the scenes of like Ghostbusters when we were like, yeah, he said he'd do it, but then he never showed up. You could never get a hold of him, blah, blah, blah. And the day of shooting came, and here he comes. You know, and you haven't heard from him. You're like, Jesus Christ, is he going to be here? And it was just a sweat fest the entire time they were making the movie, because they never knew if he was going to show up, but he was always showing up on par.
That's funny.
It's hilarious.
That's just how he is, man. I was going to say there's a story of him going to random fast food places and taking a fry off somebody's plate and eating it in front of him and saying, no one's ever going to believe that this happened, and walking away.
If I had that kind of swing, I would too, man.
Hell yeah. Well, I think well, that's all I had for questions. Last point here. What's on the future agenda for Kill FM and you as with what you're doing?
So there is a couple different options. Hopefully I can get some music and continue to do my Mac on a Monday thing on the first Monday of the month. If not, my fallback will always be on Twitter. Regardless of what happens with Kill FM, I am always going to be grounded in the role-playing community. Like, I don't care where it goes, what it does. This is where I laid my roots. I have no intentions of ever going somewhere else. And I mean, I got intentions of going someplace else, but not leaving like the role-playing community and forgetting about all you guys who have been backing me up and encouraged me the entire time. And every time I feel like, it's all useless, you guys are the ones that come along and pick me back up and, you know, make me dust myself off and get to stepping.
Get back to it.
Yeah, keep going. And so I'll always have the fallback on Twitter. But I would like to make it bigger with introducing more amateur music and exposing more bands to your ear holes that you don't normally get. And so if you know anybody, please throw them my way, because I mean, I want to keep going in this direction.
Keep pushing forward, going up, man.
And then, of course, I could always do other things, like my wife and I were talking. We did a quick little thing yesterday, which may or may not go up, about an idea she had for the direction that Friday the 13th should take. So I'll leave that there.
Okay, well, that's exciting.
So
let me check the chat real quick. No last minute questions, guys. No? All right.
Anything. What you got?
I'll give him like a minute or two here. That sounds like you got a lot on your plate. We can find you on Twitter, and that's what I got you at, Kill Radio 666, right?
Yep. Kill Radio 666, because Kill FM was already taken, so let's hope they don't rise up and take me out.
You can just put Killer FM. There you go.
Yeah, there you
go. If things really want to go nuts. I'm going to post the YouTube in the chat. You guys go check him out there. Once again, he's looking for music, looking to do some voiceover work. If you need something for a project, hit him up.
Yeah, totally. I'll back you up on anything. I just love doing it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't charge anything. I'm in it for the fun.
What he means to say is $100 he'll do anything. That's what he means to say.
I gotta cut you in on 10%.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm not doing management promotions yet. It's been a long time, man.
I thought about getting into it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought about getting into it because when back in the 90s when we were running, I had to deal with the manager and the agent and the venue owners and do all that. So I was the work between guy. And I thought, man, if I could find a band that I could throw my weight into, I would love to manage that band. It just never came into fruition. But man, I had a great time doing that. The business end.
Oh, I'm sure.
Controlled the bank account.
And especially coming from, like you said, being the band, going to the back scenes and knowing what they need and what they expect.
Oh, yeah.
I think that helps a lot.
A lot of things that people don't think about in a band. You need, even today, like think about the bands that you enjoy, as ridiculous as that band may be. There's a show that's put together here. So my big thing when we do live shows is I want 3 songs to bleed together. And so as soon as we start one, we hit on 4 or 1 of the next song.
Right.
So we hammer those changes out so that you just get a song, beginning, middle song, third song, no breaks in between, and then an introduction for the band, then another 2 songs, and then a little bit of talking. And the band's got to have a look, right? So, I mean, even if you're into Insane Clown Posse has a look, right? And
they do.
They all look like they work together, and that's every band from back in the 50s, Elvis Presley and his whole band, they had a look.
Temptations, come on.
Yeah. And they all work together. I mean, I'm looking at all these looks on the wall, and you get the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the high colors, the suits, and I don't think a lot of people put that they just get up there and they don't even think of a set list anymore. They get up there and they're like, what song you want to do? You want to do not that one? Okay, well, what about this one over here?
Yeah. Definitely more laid back, I feel like.
Yeah.
Which is whatever it is. All right, chat. Yeah, I guess we're gonna cut it off here in a sec. Any last words to these people? Any last
Jesus Christ, you gonna kill me after this?
Thoughts? Yeah. What do you want for your final meal?
Some of that salmon you was talking about.
All right, let's go catch it. It'll take a while. Yeah, but what do you want to leave? If you had one message to the world to leave, what would it be?
And love each other.
There it is.
Love each other, and do not let these little petty differences come in between you and the love of your entire community, regardless of whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them. You cannot agree with somebody and still not argue with them. That is your choice to keep that going. Whether you think you're right, whether you know you're right, or whether they think they're right or they know they're right, you guys are going to collide. So stay out of it. Don't do it. Don't antagonize anybody. Love each other, accept each other, and don't worry about the small shit. Life is too fucking short to get caught up in the little snares, especially the ones your politicians lay down for you.
Yeah.
Don't let them run you like that. Be you and enjoy your life. Smile and love and drop the bullshit.
I think that's a great message.
And fight the man.
And fight the power, right?
Yeah, that's just fight the power. Fuck.
What was that?
Don't fight me.
Are you gonna come out with a big gold clock, Flavor Flav style next? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, boy. I think I owe him money now.
Oh God. Well, yeah, royalties, right? Well, Well, we'll leave on that note. Thank you, Mac, for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys to chat. All you guys in chat. Appreciate you all.
Love all you motherfuckers.
Stay tuned to the Twitter. That's the best way to figure out what I got going on and what Mac's got going on and all our guests. Hit the Twitter, hit the YouTubes.
Halloween verse, Legacy Tales, Friday the 13th, Omniverse, like all of them. Get
Yeah.
into a role-playing community and join the tight net of friends and loved ones that we have within us.
Hell yeah.
We have so much love.
Yeah, and we shared experiences. You meet some good people, like I said.
And some nut jobs.
Yeah, you're talking to
Even
one
this
right
one.
now.
Right?
Who's this guy stealing pants? What's his deal? Oh,
It's plugging my own.
yeah,
That
right.
didn't sound good. Jesus.
Oh, that's what I'll be doing after this show. Anyways,
Lines.
yeah.
Lanja.
Oh, have a great night, everybody, and we'll catch you soon.